Namaste everyone, this is Stories of India Retold. Today I have for you a short but really sweet folk tale from India. The story is about a lonely young woman who develops a friendship with the mighty serpent god Nagoba and his family. The story tells about how an accident causes her to fall out of favor with Nagoba and his family, and how she regains it back because of her love and devotion. I'm very excited about sharing this story because I think you'll really like this. But before we start, I would like to talk about a couple of things. I think this will help give more perspective about the story. So one of the thing is, who is Naga? Nagas are semi-divine mythical creatures. They are said to be half human and half serpent. Now they are magical. They can change forms. They have a serpent form, a human form, a half serpent and half human form, and they can change forms at will. They live in this beautiful, magical, magnificent palace called Patala, which is located in the netherworld, beyond the earthly dimension. The Nagas are closely associated with the other Naga or snake, particularly Indian cobra. And the Indian cobra is revered in Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain cultures all around the world. Now, traditionally, Naga Panchami is a festival or day when Nagas are worshipped. The devotees perform many rituals. As part of the ritual, devotees may make offerings of milk. They fill a bowl with milk and leave it out for the snakes. If they find out the next day that the milk is gone, that means the snake has consumed the milk and blessed the devotee with good fortune. So why am I talking about Naga Panchami? Because the story is set around this festival. And now let's get right into the story. Once upon a time, there lived a young woman. She lived with her husband in her father-in-law's house, along with her husband's 6 older brothers and their wives. She was the seventh, the youngest daughter-in-law of the house. The festival of Naga Panchami was around the corner. All the daughters-in-law got ready to visit their family for the festivities. All except the youngest daughter-in-law. You see, the youngest daughter-in-law was an orphan. She had no living relatives, so she had no one to visit. When all of her co-sisters, the other daughters-in-law of the house, left, the young woman sat sobbing quietly. She wished she had relatives she could call her own, family she could visit. She was desperate and dejected. She closed her eyes, joined the palms of her hands, and prayed to Nagoba. She said, Nagoba, pretend I'm your family and take me away. To be honest, she never imagined Nagoba would hear her prayers. Nagoba was the mighty serpent god. He lived in his palace located under the earthly dimension. But he heard the young woman's prayers. He was moved by her heartfelt words. He wanted to help her, so he decided to travel to Earth and bring the young woman to his home. But Nagoba couldn't go to the young woman's house in his snake form, now could he? So he assumed the form of a Brahmana and went to the father-in-law's house. When he knocked on the door, the father-in-law answered. Nagoba told him that he was sent by the man's youngest daughter-in-law's father, who had instructed him to bring her home for a visit. The father-in-law was suspicious and confused because, as far as he knew, his youngest daughter-in-law was an orphan. But still, he called her over and explained to her that a man was here to take her to her family and asked her if she knew him. She didn't, but she decided to lie and told her father-in-law that she did indeed know him. She claimed that the man was her maternal uncle. The father-in-law was satisfied with her answer. He told her to go to her family with the Brahmana. The young woman was ecstatic. She didn't know the identity of the stranger, but she was happy that someone had come for her. Soon the young woman was ready for her journey and she left her father-in-law's house with the Brahmana. What the Brahmana did next just completely blew her mind. The young woman watched in amazement as the Brahmana transformed into his serpent form. It was a sight to behold. And things started making sense to her. Her prayers were answered. Nagoba pretended to know her and had come to take her away just as she had asked. Nagoba lowered his big wide hood. The young woman quickly climbed on top and sat on his hood. Swiftly, Nagoba transported her to his beautiful palace located below the earth. The young woman was awestruck when she saw the magnificent palace, and she was extremely happy when Nagoba introduced her to his family, his wife, the queen, and many princes and princesses. Nagoba gave them strict warning. He told them that the young woman was their guest and it was forbidden to bite her for any reason. To the young woman's absolute delight, Nagoba's family welcomed her with open arms. They treated her like she was part of the family. She was so happy. But her happiness didn't last because soon disaster struck. The Serpent Queen was getting ready to have her babies. During the time of the birth of her babies, she wanted the young woman to assist her. She handed the woman a lamp and instructed her to hold it up for her. The young woman was eager to help this lovely family who had accepted her as their own. So she happily did as the queen instructed. She was thrilled to be included. She held the lamp in her hands, ready to assist the queen in any way she could. But when the 3 baby snakes were born, the young woman wasn't prepared for what she saw. The unfamiliar sight of their wriggling and twisting tiny bodies was a shock to the young woman's system. Adrenaline kicked in. Her body trembled. The lamp slipped from her trembling fingers. It tumbled down onto the newborn snakes. The young woman watched helplessly as the flames from the lamp caught their delicate tails. She was horrified when she saw the baby snakes cry out and writhe in pain. This was bad. She had unwittingly burnt off the tips of their tails. The queen serpent let out a mournful hiss when she saw her newborn babies suffer. They were in great pain. The queen was devastated and angry, and her anger only grew when she saw her babies cry all night due to the pain. She was so angry at the young woman. She wanted her out of the house immediately. She went to Nagoba, told him what happened, and demanded that he take the young woman back to her house immediately. Nagoba's heart ached for the young woman. He knew she never meant to harm the babies, but he also knew his wife would not accept the young woman living with them anymore. With the heavy heart, he took the young woman back home. The young woman was back in her father-in-law's house. She was sad about how things turned out, but she was thankful for the time she spent with Nagoba's family. She had fond memories of her time there and she had so much love for them. Over at Nagoba's palace, however, not everyone remembered her fondly, especially not the queen. You see, her 3 babies had lost their tails. They never grew it back. It was quite traumatic for them. And because of a lack of tails, Nagoba named them No Tail, Cut Tail, and Dog Tail. As they grew older, they faced teasing from other children wherever they went. It was really hard for them. They expressed their frustrations to their mother about their missing tails, and they learned from her about the young woman who dropped the lamp on them shortly after they were born. The 3 snake princes were furious. Fueled by their anger, they resolved to make the young woman face the consequences of her misdeeds. They got in touch with the young woman and let her know that they would visit her at her home. The young woman, unaware that the three snakes were bent on revenge, was absolutely overjoyed to learn that Nagoba's sons were coming to visit her. She had missed Nagoba and his family deeply, and she considered these three snake princes as her cousins. She had fond memories of her time spent with them. She regarded them as her own family and never stopped thinking about them. The day the three snake princes chose to visit the young woman happened to be the day of Naga Panchami, which, as we discussed, is a day of worship of snakes. The young woman is thrilled about their arrival, so she began making all the necessary arrangements. She decided to conduct a puja or a ritual in their honor. She chose a spot and she drew images of Nagoba around the spot. Now she was ready to begin her ritual. She was waiting for the three princes to arrive. As she was waiting, she folded her hands and began to pray. She included a heartfelt request for the three snake princes in her prayer. She said, "O mighty Nagoba, please protect my cousins No Tail, Cut Tail, and Dog Tail. Keep them safe and healthy." At around this time, the three princes arrived at the venue. Now they happened to overhear the young woman's sincere prayers. They finally understood that she had never intended to harm them. It was simply an accident. They could tell that she loved them. So they decided to forgive her. They greeted her with warmth and enjoyed a delightful day together. The young woman was overjoyed. She talked to her cousins. She asked them about Nagoba and their mother. She felt immense happiness in reconnecting with them. That night, the young woman went to sleep with a smile on her face. The following morning, she woke up and headed to the spot where she had last seen her cousins. To her delight, she discovered that they had consumed all the milk she had set out for them the previous evening. Even more surprising, they had left her a stunning necklace adorned with glittering navaratnas representing the 9 types of precious stones. Thus, the young woman forged a bond with the snake family. Furthermore, the snake princess vowed never to bite anyone from her family again. And that is the story of Nagoba. In Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist cultures around the world, Naga or Serpa are considered to be protectors. They are also believed to be forgiving and generous. We all grow up learning not to harm or kill snakes, especially the Indian cobra. My father would often remind me that our world is not solely ours. We must learn to coexist with all beings, even those we may perceive as dangerous, because they are a much bigger part of this amazing ecology that we share. I believe this message resonates in the folk story. It fits in beautifully with the ethos and culture our ancestors sought to promote and uphold. I'm curious to know what you think of the story and how the story resonates with you. So please share your thoughts in the comments. And I hope to see you here again soon. Dhanyawada. Thank you.